Hey guys, I'm Jacob and you're watching the Preppers Bunker Outdoors. This month's sponsor is HCO Strops. You can see how to support this channel in the description box below. Obviously today we are here to talk about Ontario Knife Company going out of business and closing its doors. Now this is a really big deal for me personally. I am a long-time Ontario fan. A couple of you guys are shaking your heads right now to hear me say that, because I've been very critical of Ontario Knife Company for the past 3, 4, 5 years, something like that. I have tried many times to work with Ontario to help those guys out. I believe it was Andrew Yates who I spoke to years back at SHOT Show, at Blade Show. I talked to Touge quite a bit. And early in this channel, Ontario was my favorite company. I believed, and might still believe if things happened the same way, that the SP5 was one of the finest values on the market for a chopper that was very affordable. But I saw things going bad. I made a lot of noise maybe 2-3 years ago with my Ontario Knife Company is going out of business videos. I did 2 of them. A lot of people heard, a lot of people got pissed off, a lot of very important emails went out to a lot of people and to myself. The industry was not happy about it, but I saw it and I knew it, and so I did a lot of videos that were much more critical of Ontario. I stopped reviewing Ontario because every time it seemed like they had a choice to do the right thing or to do nothing, they instead chose to do the wrong thing. It's been like it's been this big spiraling thing. But essentially, in my Ontario's going out of business videos, I was completely right. Problems started at the top. The CEO of the company was an absolute dirtbag. He quit or was fired here in December. He's being sued. You can check out that lawsuit on LawWow. I brought that lawsuit to LawWow's attention. They brought up the official complaints and documentation for that. You can read it. It's very similar to Black Rifle Coffee Company and Evan Hafer, actually, interestingly enough. And in essence, I truly believe that we had one big turd at the top taking a dump on everybody below him. Moving forward, and I wanted to do a video on this LawWow situation earlier. There's some crazy stuff in there, you know, forcing employees to drink, forcing the employees to go out with prostitutes, like all kinds of crazy stuff, okay? Like employees crying, employees being up for 5 days or a week straight with no sleep, just drunk or high or whatever, like crazy stuff from Servotronics, a company that caters to the avionics industry for the government, just being dirty. Moving forward, Ontario Knife Company was purchased by Blue Ridge Knives. And guys, so many of you guys have argued with me. Ontario's not going out of business. Ontario's like, I know a lot of people. I pay attention to a lot of things that normal people don't pay attention to, like I'm telling you. So now Blue Ridge, I wish I was wrong though, is what I meant to say. I do wish I was wrong. Blue Ridge Knives bought the company. The current story is that the plant in New York is shutting down and everyone who worked there will be out of a job. That's a bummer. Truly, from the bottom of my heart, that's a bummer. There are a lot of people, I have absolutely no doubt, starting primarily at the very top of this list, starting with the CEO, a lot of people there who deserve to be fired. But the reality is we had this world-class or knife company on the world stage producing massive numbers of knives from a little brick building in New York. Grinding knives by hand, a lot of issues. Blue Ridge Knives, all those people are being fired. It is a bummer. It's a bummer for the people who didn't deserve to be fired, and I hope the people that did deserve to be fired and helped bring this about over the past years, I hope they go to the gutter. Anyways, so what do I hope now? Blue Ridge Knives. I don't know a lot about Blue Ridge Knives, but they are behind the, I believe, let's see, I know that Blue Ridge Knives is behind the SE folders that are imported. SE guys, Shane, I don't know the details of that, but I believe that was in response to Ontario's Rat 1. There's a possibility that one of the biggest reasons that Blue Ridge wanted to purchase Ontario was the Rat 1, if they weren't already the ones behind its manufacture already. Here's what I hope. I hope that the only remnants of Ontario will not be the Rat 1. And I hope that Blue Ridge at least searches out American manufacturing facilities to continue producing iconic knives. Iconic Ontario knives, maybe with some tweaks, but I hope they choose to produce them in the United States. I sincerely hope for that. I personally, Ontario would be absolutely dead to me to go the cold steel route and ship everything overseas. That's just the bottom line for me. So, to go back to Ontario and the things I said they were doing wrong, like every year they would release a couple of new knives, some American made, some imported. They're American made knives. They were going for absolute bottom dollar, and they would make the run of knives. They would sell the front end of the knives, their best manufactured pieces, at a full price, which wasn't that good of a deal oftentimes. And then everything that was left, they would sell for the next 2 or 3 years. All their factory seconds they would sell. All their warranty returns they would sell. And so what you really saw the most from Ontario was incredibly cheap knives being sold a lot of times on Amazon by Ontario that were of absolutely horrible quality. Absolutely disgusting quality control and fit and finish, and shameful. That's what you would see the most of from Ontario. But when you got a good one, you got a good one. This is actually a bummer for my testing with Pete at Cedric and Ada. One of the knives being tested is a Rat 3. I'll get into that later. But there are so many things. The entire SP line of knives, the Kraton handles. It's like, guys, you made a mold for this handle. One mold for one handle that's going to go on 30 different knives made out of rubber, and you chose to make the back of it squared off. You can make any shape you want, and you made the back of it a square. They did not have enough dudes in the woods getting their thoughts behind designs, and they had too many dudes in suits with no experience having too much say in knives. That has to be what it was. So Blue Ridge Knives, it's a bummer that you guys couldn't keep the existing employees. I'm sure there's a good reason for it. I hope that reason's not that you're exporting everything. I offered to Andrew Yates and to Ontario so many times to help them absolutely for free. I would do the same thing for a Blue Ridge ran Ontario knife company for American production. And I'm sure a lot of other reviewers would as well. Let's do it right. Let's keep it made in America. Maybe don't and guys, here, this is gonna be huge for military contracts. Nobody could touch military contracts. Nobody could touch Ontario because they would just cut costs. They would just cut all of the costs and produce absolute trash. Your pilot survival knives, your bayonets, All of them. Your best produced bayonets were the Marine Corps ones, and I used to buy and sell those, and a lot of them were crap too. They would just undercut everybody on the planet and get the government contract by just having a cheap bid, and they would just make it happen. It was a bad deal. But so that's going to be huge for the U.S. government. This is huge for the U.S. government, I believe. But let's do it right. Let's go forward. You know, if Blue Ridge can find a way to keep U.S. contracts and keep Ontario as a company making our government's knives, hopefully that will end for the best. I don't think that that's the profitable way to go. I don't think that's the smart way to go, and I think that's a big part of why Ontario failed, which I already talked about in those other videos too. Let's focus on the woodsman. Let's focus on the soldier who's buying his own knife. Let's drop the rat line, please, Blue Ridge. Let Essie have the designs and let them have their own freaking name back. Let go of Randall's Adventure Training. That's what actually pissed me off about Ontario the most, was how freaking just dirty the very concept of that was. Oh, I'm going to keep your name. I own your name. Dirtbags. So let's get rid of the rats altogether, guys. If we can. If you keep the Rat 1 folder, keep the Rat 1 folder. I would hope that the guys at Essie, I don't know them, I don't speak for them, but I would say that they probably would care less about that than the rest of the designs. You know, but let them have the rest of them. Doggone. Anyways, but seriously, like, if Blue Ridge, this is what you should hear, if anything, please. American manufacturer, okay? Let's bring back the SP line of knives, SP5, SP10, SP50, 51, 52, all of the SP line knives, even SP2, SP1, okay? Redo the handle and use 8670, please. Sell them cheap. Put the same handle on every knife. Make it better. Sell them cheap. Make them in 8670 and heat treat them to 59 to 60 HRC. 58 to 60 HRC. Give yourself a little bit more variation. Sell them cheap. Not as cheap as Ontario used to sell them for. Sell them $100 each. For most of them, except for the biggest blades, $100 each. 8670, 58 to 60 Rockwell. I don't like Kraton handles, but I would be all over this if they're shaped right and they're priced right. You could do what Ontario should have done, and every single bushcraft gathering that I go to, 80% of the people out there would have an Ontario if you could do this right. So feel free to reach out, thepreppersbunkeroutdoors@gmail.com, if you want an NDA. I will do an NDA, but let's do this right. Please, American manufacturing, #1. Guys, crazy stuff. I'm missing a lot of stuff that I wanted to say, and I've got a lot of this pent-up emotion about Ontario, and it's because I like them and because they let me down. They let all of us down, and they let some dirtbag at the top screw their whole entire company. You know, their employee, I forget his name. Look at the Law Wow thing. Freaking he did whistleblow on this douchebag, and they still were getting him. What's this guy's name? I've forgotten it now. The dude that was the CEO of Ontario should leave the country and hide his face, because he put a crap product into every soldier's hands. He destroyed a classic American brand by being a fat, disgusting sack of shit. But his employee that whistleblowed on him, freaking step up. Don't go get drunk. Don't bang the hooker. Don't go back and look at your wife and hang your head in shame. Grab a freaking sack, and if you need to get fired, go get a different job, because you should be working there anyways. It sucks so bad to see people allow their leadership to screw their business. I had problems in the Army because I didn't want to allow leadership to screw our units. So I, as you might guess, had a little bit of a rough time. But you know what? It didn't turn out that bad because I stuck to my guns and I knew what I was doing was right, and it wasn't worth listening to people's threats. Rodney Taylor at Black Scout Survival wants to threaten me and my family and my home and dox me. Freaking all of the Black Rifle Coffee sycophants want to vaguely threaten me, all of this crap. My chain of command wanted to threaten me. Why? Why accept that from anybody? Just do what's right and just stick to it. If it goes to hell for you, well, then at least you went to hell. At least things got really rough and you knew that you were doing what's right. Anyways, man, dirtbags. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I might do more videos about this. I might actually organize my thoughts, organize this lawsuit situation, reach out to people. This is just really quick because I don't have any time right now. But I had to say something. It's finally out in the light. And it's crazy, guys. And I'm going to reach out to Blue Ridge, which might be a mistake. I'm going to send them an email. Hopefully I can get some information that I can pass on to you guys. Probably won't happen. I probably am not important enough. But, you know, maybe they could give me a little bit of input on what they're planning to do with the brand that I could pass on to you. I think that would be great. But let's not see this happen to good, classic American brands anymore. Let's do things right. Guys, I don't just review knives to show them to you. I also review knives for custom makers and for businesses to give them feedback before production and other stuff. And I run my own knife brand as well. So I'm not just random Joe Blow guy out here with a YouTube channel. I'm committed and involved in this industry. I turn down overseas manufactured knives for reviews regularly, and I am defensive of the U.S. knife market, specifically for custom makers, but production as well. So if I can help you, reach out to me. Have a blessed day.